Hello there, what is going on everyone? Today we are talking about the top 10 Jedi, or rather lightsaber wielders that I think need to show up in Star Wars Legion. We are getting lots of new Jedi in the very near future. Jedi and Sith from the perspective of the new expansions that are going to be coming out. We've got the Leaders of the Separatist Alliance expansion that's going to be coming out soon. We've got the Jedi Council that's going to be coming out soon. And with all of the new sabers that are going to be showing up in Legion, I thought it was time for a new top 10 list. Everything that is not coming that perhaps should be. Now, I am not talking about things that have already been confirmed, things that we already know for a fact are coming. So like Mace Windu, for example, he's going to be in that Jedi Council expansion. He's not going to be on this list. Ezra and Kanan, for example, who are already confirmed for, the Ghost crew, are not going to be, even though they're coming farther out, they're not going to be on this list. I'm talking about characters that haven't been confirmed, or at least versions of characters that haven't been confirmed. So that's what's going into my list, but I also want to hear your list. Let me know what you really want to see, what you agree with and disagree with from this list. Let me know down in the comments section below. First up on our list, it's going to be Aayla Secura. Now, I did talk about versions of characters. This one's a little bit of a halvesy, right? Because she's sort of already in the game, but she's certainly not using a lightsaber in the game. You have her as a pilot option for the Republic, so you have an upgrade card that has her. We don't have a miniature for her. And plus, I think she'd be a pretty cool one. I think she's a fan favorite as well, so it makes sense. They've already got other Jedi that have appeared only in card that are now coming to the game, so why not Aayla Secura? Also, popular both on screen and in the Clone Wars, so it totally works. She was in actually episodes 2 and 3, so yeah, plenty of Jedi with less screen time, are also candidates to show up. So I think she's definitely up there as far as candidates to show up in Star Wars Legion. Also, she was in some video games too. She had some pretty cool stuff in Battlefront and stuff like that. With the old ones though, not necessarily the new ones. But let me know if you played the old Battlefront too. Next up, it's Starkiller. I think I have to mention a Sam Witwer character in every single video that I make because he's the greatest. He's the GOAT. And Starkiller was what kind of started it all, and so I have to give lots of props to Sam Witwer for his portrayal of Galen Marek, aka Starkiller, in The Force Unleashed. As much as I do want to see this character show up in canon, it is not out of the question to get characters from Legends to be able to show up in games that Asmodee is making. They've had similar things happen in Star Wars Unlimited. It could totally happen. It might wait a little bit longer. Maybe he'll show up in canon at some point. He's already talked about wanting to come back. It said he'd shave his head in a heartbeat to come back and play Starkiller again. So, I'd love to see it happen. Obviously, his power level was a little too high in that game compared to current canon. So you could bring him back at a realistic level. Maybe bring him back in a similar role. Maybe not exactly the same role. Maybe something kind of different. I don't know. Or just straight up do a Legends wave of characters for Star Wars Legion. He'd be at the top of my list. I'd absolutely love him. And back in the day, I will say Fantasy Flight was very, very, very close because they did have Juno Eclipse, who was also from these games, that was a pilot in X-Wing, and it certainly stood to reason that if Juno Eclipse from Force Unleashed was in a Fantasy Flight game, it wasn't that hard to think that Starkiller couldn't have been close behind, but that was also before the transition from where Lucasfilm went over to Disney, and then a lot of things happened. So, granted that it was closer in the past, but it could also happen in the future, and I love this character. I think it'd be really fun to paint up. I think it could be really cool if he was just a Legends era super force bomb, and he had that pulse, that force pulse that just hit everybody near him. That could be his signature move. It'd be so cool. Oh, I'd love it. I mean, I get real excited thinking about this kind of stuff, but it's super fun. Let me know if you agree or disagree, and it's totally cool if you're like, no, I don't want Legends EU stuff. There's other things that are more important than this guy, and there are. let's move along with the list. Before we go further in the list, too, let me remind you to check out some of our sponsors. We have awesome sponsors and links and discount codes for you below. And these are sponsors of things that you're probably going to be interested in. If you have a game topper, you have a gaming table at home or a small table you wanted to turn into a big table, you can head over to Game Toppers. GameToppersLLC.com. You can save 15% on their playmats and their accessories. Even if you don't have a game topper, they have awesome playmats. Use code Crabbok15 for that. And if you want to protect your armies, head over to Battle Foam. Battle Foam has amazing products. I use them all the time. And code Crabbok VIP is going to save you 15% over at Battle Foam. There's links in the description below. All right, next up, again, I talked a little bit about versions of characters. We're talking about Sabine, but Jedi Sabine. There's a difference that we saw in Ahsoka in the show, and I feel like with the recent card pack that was revealed and Force upgrades that basically were taken from Sabine's arc, right, or inspired by either Sabine or just Rebels stuff in general, a Force-assisted Force jump is straight out of Sabine's kind of playbook. But Sabine, like, doesn't have the Force stuff. I feel like there's a couple of ways they could do this. They could either just give us a Jedi version of Sabine. Maybe it should wait until after Ahsoka Season 2 to see if something happens. Maybe she gets like a new armor or something that warrants a new costume, because her costume is still pretty much the same. Or you could just alternatively give her an upgrade card that gives her Ezra's lightsaber, and it also comes with a Force upgrade or something like that. Like, you might be able to do like a kind of a lateral transfer in that sense, but still, depending on what happens in Ahsoka Season 2, that may warrant an entirely new sculpt for Sabine. Although she already has a few, it wouldn't be out of the question for a character to have like more than 3 sculpts. Look at Vader and Luke, for example.
Many sculpts you have, and more shall come. Excited, are you? Yes.
Okay, that's enough of the impressions for today. Let's move along with my top 10 list. And coming up next, I like the video games, right? I already mentioned Starkiller. How about Cal Kestis? Absolute legend right here. Cal Kestis. Bonus points is you get to have BT, right? You get to have a little droid that comes with him. Not the only character to ever have a little sidekick droid. It definitely happens. It could also happen here. You can have the cool thing about having Cal Kestis in the game. He'd have to have Expert Climber, because all those games are basically just how can you solve this one room's puzzle by leaping around and then solving the next room's puzzle and yada, yada, yada. But you could have multiple lightsaber options for him. I would start him out without a lightsaber at all and then give him, like, equip a lightsaber upgrade. But he's going to have like 3 or 4 different Cal Kestis lightsaber upgrades. Like, you can have single saber, heavy saber, dual sabers, saber staff. Like, do that kind of thing with him. That would be a fun way to go. Be a really fun way to do Cal Kestis. Love it, love it, love it. Let me know if you agree. Or, I mean, because we kind of have that with the custom Jedi thing a little bit too. We kind of have a little bit of that, but you could really customize those for his experience in the video games. I think that'd be a fun one. You could even do different head sculpts, since in like the last video game they had all these beard options that you could do with him. Like, give him the default, like the canon version of Cal Kestis, but like give him like a beard head also, and give him a poncho, for crying out loud. Give the man a poncho. I think he likes ponchos too. All right. Moving on to very powerful Jedi that still haven't made the cut yet. It's Kit Fisto. Oh, yeah. Our smiley. And I chose a picture without him smiling, but he's got a little smirk there because he knows he's about to win. No, Kit Fisto absolutely should be in the game. I think the only reason he's not yet is because one of his biggest strengths, now he was already a formidable Jedi that was not one-shotted instantly by Palpatine, so that's already, he gets points for that. He lasted a little bit. But he's also an aquatic Jedi. He's an expert swimmer, and swimming doesn't really have that much to do in Star Wars Legion just at the current moment. And I wonder, I've long been talking about Gungans and how are we going to get Gungans. They were also, or Mon Cala, and then of course the shark dude, right? Riff Tamson. But like, how do you do all of those characters in Legion? You can give them stuff that lets them traverse terrain better, but that generally just makes them better on land, not necessarily in water. And so I feel like once there's a mechanism for water to actually be meaningful in the game, then or more meaningful than it is. I mean, you can still have puddles and rivers and things like that. But like maybe that should be like a big push. Maybe there'd be a terrain push that like pushes for like lakes and stuff like that. And hey, how can you cross this lake now? Even if you've got, somebody with jump, maybe it's like a bigger lake than range 3 move, a speed 3 move and stuff like that. Like, granted, you don't want stuff to be that big, but it could be a thing, right? It could absolutely be a thing. Maybe also going underwater would get you protection from aircraft. And we know that all the starfighters and stuff are coming. Air support is coming. So like that could be something that where water, aquatic maps and stuff have something to do with it, or at least maps that have like lake edges and underwater portions that could give you. I don't know. Either way, I talked too much about water. He's great even on land. He doesn't need to be in water. He still deserves to be in the game. But if I was planning to do something and make water a little bit more important in Star Wars Legion than it is now, I'd probably be holding on to Kit Fisto just a little bit longer to see if I could get him to release alongside that. Maybe. That's complete speculation on my part, but I invite your ideas too. Do you think water shouldn't even be bothered with it? We shouldn't even go there, because that's a big maybe. That might be that might be what's going on. I don't know. Let's move on with people who are not necessarily underwater, folks, and someone who seeks the mountains. Oh yes, Baylan Skoll. Absolute. Oh, Baylan Skoll. Rip Ray Stevenson. Baylan Skoll absolutely should show up, and I'm really curious. I wouldn't do him just yet. I would wait for after Ahsoka Season 2. Interesting thing about this character is, first off, he was complete badass. On top of that, they pointed out before Ahsoka Season 1 came out that his lightsaber is not red, it is orange. And that is significant. That is, a very big deal. Like, they made it seem like it was a bigger deal than it was. It didn't seem like it really mattered that his lightsaber was orange. He wasn't a good guy. He wasn't the most evil of bad guys, but he was still an adversary. He was still pretty much a bad guy. And he did murder a lot of innocent people, to further his goals. So, like, certainly not a good guy, but certainly not the most evil either. So, like, what is going on with him? What's the end goal for him? And we certainly got a glimpse of it in Ahsoka, but I want to, kind of get his whole story before we get him in the game, because I want to know why he has that orange lightsaber, and because that's going to inform how you design the character. It would be a shame to design him now and give him like keywords and stuff based on Ahsoka Season 1 if then all of a sudden, for example, we found out in Ahsoka Season 2, oh, he was a droid the whole time. It would totally change the character. Now Ion would have to affect him, all the, those kind of things, right? So let's get the whole story, but then he definitely needs to show up. That's my thoughts, right? Yeah. Okie dokie. Let's move on. Talk about people who aren't really good guys that you might have thought. Oh, Pong, Krell. Long has this large, dangerous, and fantastic Nautolan been, not Nautolan, Basilisk rather, been on the close to the top of my list for things that I wanted to see. I really, really love this dude. I love the idea of giving him incognito to make it seem like he's working for the other side. Like, hey, you can't shoot him. He's on your side. Oh, no, he's actually on my side. Make him a separatist, but give him incognito. That's what I really want to see with this guy. Like, he's undercover. He's a traitor. I think it's the easiest way to make a traitor mechanic. Make it be like, oh yeah, he's totally on your side, but he isn't, right? That's my thought. But doing that, especially for somebody who is as theoretically as strong in melee as this guy is going to be, there'd have to be a huge trade-off for somebody who's and maybe he's only incognito for the first turn. Right, like you have to. The theme has to be there, but it can't be so strong where he can just do what he did in his episode, where he just killed all the clones all by himself. Like, you can't let him actually do that, but you got to give him at least one turn where he can be like, no, it's okay, enemy, because theoretically you're not only going to be facing clones, you might face rebels, and then he's pretending to be a rebel, so on and so forth. I think you give him at least one turn of incognito, so they're not shooting at him right away. So like the betrayal happens at the end of the first turn of the game, right? And he's like, "Ha ha," But that's the idea, is that maybe he wouldn't have, maybe he wouldn't have the best defense. Maybe he'd have white defense, but just a lot of health. Kind of treat him a little bit like a Wookiee in that regard, but still give him deflects like white defense and deflect. I don't know. But he'd have to be big. He'd have to have probably the strongest lightsaber attacks that we've seen. But maybe he'd also have to be crazy expensive. I'm not sure. Again, I'm not designing him. I'm just theory crafting. He seems like honestly, if you watch the episode, he seems too strong for Legion. But I don't think that should should stop us from trying to get him in the game. Right? That's my thought. He seems like he probably could be like a 300-point unit if they were to design him like accurately to the episode. So you'd have to scale him back a little bit, because those lightsabers could easily be like 6 red dice each, 12 red, surge to crit, like the sound they made. Oh, and they wouldn't be able to use the normal plastic they use for lightsaber blades. It would have to be 4 times as thick. Easy. It'd be cool. He'd be a really fun character, the paint and everything though. Oh man, he'd be something else. I'd really like it. I'd really like to see how they came up with it. Moving on. Look, it counts. It absolutely counts, right? I didn't say Jedi. Oh, I guess I did say Jedi, but I said, or rather, lightsaber wielders. Pre-Vizsla absolutely counts for this list. Pre-Vizsla, look, we just got all these Mandalorian battle forces. And if you listened really closely, like there was a mention of that Death Watch could be possibly in the pipe as well. I know I heard Death Watch said at least once during Adepticon. Maybe it was spoken accidentally. I don't know, but it doesn't take a rocket scientist to conclude that of course they're gonna do Death Watch. Of course, how can you not? How can you not have all of these Mandalorian clans and not have the best, the first, the OG Mandalorian clan? How can you have the Darksaber on everybody except for the person who introduced it to us? How can you not have the most epic and wild and crazy and tough and bonkers Mandalorian we've ever seen? The original Pre-Vizsla. I mean, you have to. Right? And this might mean different versions of some other characters that we've seen already, also, like another Rook cast or something like that. Maybe, or maybe you just take her same model and put it in. Like, this would be a cool one. I think if they're going to do any extra army boxes or Battle Force boxes for the Mandalorian faction, I think Death Watch is a great one. I think it will sell loads. I think Death Watch has just as much, if not more, name draw than every other faction combined, even. And I think that that's why you would exclude them from the first wave of Mandalorians. Get the Mandalorian hardcore fans in, and then drop Death Watch like next year. That's my thought. Because you're already going to get the hardcore Mandalorian fans to buy into it. But now you're going to reach all the casual Clone Wars fans also, who are like, oh, I remember Death Watch. And now all of a sudden you reach even more people. You got to kind of layer. You got to kind of bunny hop. You got to stagger your hype. You can't just drop it all up front and then be left with all the glup shittos for later on. You've got to save the, pardon my language, but it's a term, right? You can't just drop all of your big names at the beginning and then fade to the more obscure characters. You've got to save some all-stars for like wave 2 and wave 3 of your stuff. So I think I think there's no question that he's coming. The only question is when. I would argue we'll see him spoiled maybe next year. If not, then the year after. That's my guess. We'll see. We'll see if I'm right. Who knows? I've been wrong about plenty of things. All right. Number 2, if we're counting down to number 1, then the second to last one on my list, Qui-Gon Jinn. Of course we need to have Qui-Gon Jinn. Of course we need Qui-Gon Jinn. Look, we've got Darth Maul in the Separatists. Darth Maul from the Battle of Naboo. I would wager to say Qui-Gon Jinn must be in the works, must be at least planned, probably slated to launch around the time that Gungans, or at least a Naboo Battle Force drops. I don't know if Gungans will ever come out. And if they do, I don't know if they will have a dedicated Gungan battle force, or it'll be more of a Naboo hybrid battle force. Kind of like how Wookiees can take clones, although nobody should ever do that. You should run Wookiees by themselves. Yeah, like I don't know. That's my thought, because I saw the movie. I know what happens. I wouldn't trust those clones if I were Wookiees. I fast forwarded to the end, and I was like, oh, it's not going to end well for Kashyyyk. And look what happened. Lots of slavery. Look at Chrysanthemum. He was not happy with his past, and I'm sure it had something to do with the course of action that was put on all the Wookiee people because of the clones. I'm way off topic. My point is, Gungans may come in as a Naboo battle force, and if they do, you need this guy for that. You definitely do. Amongst other things, he absolutely has a place in the game. He's a recognizable Jedi. Liam Neeson just rocked this character so hard. He was incredible. It makes me want to watch Phantom Menace again right now, as a matter of fact. And I probably won't do it right now, but I'll do it soon. It'd be a really long video if I stopped and went and watched Phantom Menace. I'm like, oh, all right, let's watch Phantom Menace. We'll get back to the video later. You know, I got to finish the video first. Okay. And number one pick, have you guessed it yet? Let me know. Pause the video right now. Let me know your number one pick. It's not one of my normal list picks, but maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't know. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Number one pick, Darth Jar Jar. Darth Jar Jar. Yes, we're talking EU. We're talking Legends. I don't even know if he was EU. He was a fan theory. Well, not as much of a fan theory as I'm pretty sure like Ahmed Best kind of confirmed that something like that, the fan theory was kind of correct. It was one of those smile and nods, and it's like, I can't say anything. You know, I think it was one of those deals. So yes, of course, Darth Jar Jar should, well, of course he'd be on my list because I'm always pushing for Gungans, right? I don't know if he should actually show up in the game, but I mean, people have been making fan sculpts of Darth Jar Jar for the longest time, so he'd be a fun character to put in. Like they did that Dark Side Anakin that was like for casual play, that if you watch some of the streams from last year, and that's probably something else that's worth exploring. It's a cool thing. It doesn't have to be tournament legal if they want to just make something kind of fun. If they want to make a miniature that's 400 points and like just kind of broken for tournament play, but fun for casual games, you know, where you kind of know you're going to play against that. Like that would be a cool way to do something like him. Or if you're just going to go with like Legends and some non-canon stuff for a wave, it could be really fun to do those kind of things. You might reach a whole new audience as well. This guy was just actually dropped. This actual image was taken from the new Galaxy of Heroes app. They're putting in a bunch of like non-canon characters and stuff like that, doing a big push. A lot of other Star Wars games now are also really getting to the point where they can do EU Legends non-canon stuff because they're fans want it. We're ready for it. People are going to drop dollars on this stuff. I would drop dollars on a Darth Jar Jar. Let me know if you would too. Let me know what I didn't talk about that you wanted me to talk about, and let me know which items in this list you disagree with, or which ones you do agree with. Let me know down in the comments section below. You can also jump on our Discord. We have links down in the video description below. Also Patreon, all kinds of other cool stuff like that. Big thanks to my patrons. You guys are absolutely amazing and help make this whole channel possible. I will talk to you later. May the Force be with you. Live long and prosper. Be excellent to each other. Party on, dudes. So say we all. And always wash your socks.